Hello everybody, Scooped Up by an S-Rank Adventure has just dropped its first episode. This anime seems to be a typical anime about a super overpowered character who is underestimated, then kicked out of the S-Rank hero party. We get this little bit of a flashback where the teacher of this young mage is actually here in this destroyed city and basically scoops him up from this destroyed city where we have yet to have any backstory to why the city is destroyed, but don't worry, that comes later. She shows him that she can create fire with her hand and then leaves him and says, don't come back until you figured out how to do it. He figures out how to do it. She burns him to a crisp, and many other shenanigans, such as he makes a perfect ice sculpture of her and she makes that ice sculpture a giant version of itself and gives it life and a personality. One day when she was getting drunk, he heals her and she accidentally compliments him saying, oh, you've gotten better at healing. And then he says, oh, so I finally become helpful? Oh, time to go practice. So then she can go bully him some more. She seems to be trying to purposefully make sure that this guy, this kid, does not have any self-confidence. He then picks up this book and ends up passing out. It turns out that means that he has the potential to be a chosen one. So he's a pretty powerful guy, supposedly. Or at least has a destiny that could lead him to that. After that, she goes ahead and says, you must survive in the wilderness by yourself for a whole week. Try to make it back home by the end of the week. He fights like wolves and tigers and stuff. He doesn't really fight as much as he learns how to run from them. So he basically creates a whole bunch of spells that he can learn to go faster and stronger so he can like crawl up walls. He makes it back and she welcomes him back, of course. We then have somewhat of a time skip. He seems to have grown up a little bit. Then we get this cartoony explanation of he's not actually allowed to sleep. Apparently, he only needs to sleep once every 7 days. So she's been keeping him up with this spell so then they can study more magic together. So assuming he's fed up with that, he goes ahead and he leaves to some city that he saw in a brochure one time. And he finds out, hey, I bought one piece of bread. Now I'm flat broke, so he has to take a job as an adventurer and immediately joins a party. It turns out that's the hero's party, and this guy who accidentally, maybe purposefully, slipped him the notice that they're hiring for adventurers actually seems to be a part of the previous hero party that slayed the Demon King, which is actually what happened to the town that this guy came from. So the ancient magic that the hero had used saved everyone who had been killed by the Demon King at the cost of the hero's own life. Then directly after that, we get the new hero being cheered on, saying, go, 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 Alan, go, go, Alan. Is like super cheering. He's kind of a jerk though. We find out that some guards were killed near the border. So they go ahead and find the golem, only thanks to our white mage main character's help. And when they figure out when our main character decides to actually help these people and take out the sorcerer who's controlling the golem, they kind of brush it off as if nothing actually happened. He didn't actually help at all, even though they all obviously were shocked that they could do what they did, and they looked at him to say, obviously you did something that was really impressive here. Then he saves the hero's life, but the hero doesn't see it that way. He just says, get out of my way, you're messing me up, you're taking control, you're not the leader here. So the next day, they're basically saying, oh, you don't do the healing you're supposed to? You're fired. Get out of our party. Then this pink-haired girl, the next 3 days later, as our main character has been without work this entire time, says, we really need a free white mage by tomorrow. And he reluctantly says that he is unemployed. And she gleefully takes this man by the hand and rushes off with him. And that was the first episode of Scooped Up by an S-Rank Adventurer. Seems pretty interesting. I think I like this anime, although I do have to say that the trope of having the main character get kicked out of the party is like really overdone. Just in the past season, I think I've seen 2 now, but even the season before that there was one, and the season before that there was another. It seems like every season now we're gonna have one show where it's a fantasy world where they get kicked out of the hero's party, whether or not it's literally called kicked out of the hero's party, or I was the strongest shield hero, or like whatever Clover was called. I forgot what the Clover anime was called, but I think it was like getting kicked out of an S rank party, I became an A rank something like that. Super overused at this point. The one about let this reaping soul retire or something was a guy trying to get kicked out of the top guild, and you know, like, that's fair. I like that twist on it. I wouldn't want to see it done again because I feel like, you know, it's been played out with one anime. But, you know, anime is known for its tropes. There's always the beach episode. There's always, you know, the weird romance. There's always the sister that seems to be like almost in a relationship with one of the characters that they're related to. You know, that's what anime is. It's tropes. This seems to be the newest trope. Probably not even all that new, but it's coming out every single season now, so it's just something we're gonna have to get used to at this point. What do you guys think? Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And until next time, you guys have a blessed day.